Once you have dug out the pathophysiological factors that are basically responsible for the production of the acromegaly condition in the patient, you must modulate towards a treatment plan. Now, patient to patient, it is going to differ. In some patients, they are going to we're just going to refer towards the drug therapy, and in other patients, we can also refer to the surgeries. So it is going to depend upon the condition of the individual, how worse the condition is, and what are the complications that the patient is suffering from, and only then we can provide the supportive treatment to the individual. This is the pathogenesis that we have already gone through. There was a positive feedback from the growth hormone releasing hormone, and there was a negative feedback that was basically modulated through the somatostatin. So the pituitary adenomas, they result in the release of the growth hormone, and there is a spurt in the growth hormone in the bloodstream. As a result, the IGF levels, they also go hand in hand, and after that they affect the other tissues, resulting in the cellular proliferation, linear growth, as well as the glucose metabolism is affected. So you can opt for a surgery in this particular case. Then obviously you can look for the risk versus the benefits ratio in this particular patient and opt for a radiotherapy in the patient. And if it is a patient who can just respond to the oral treatment, you would be referring to a dopamine agonist or a somatostatin analog in these patients, which can be tried, and they are basically the drugs of choice for the patient. At the level of the liver, if there is the increased secretion of the IGF-1, we can opt for the GH receptor antagonist. And that can again basically affect at the level whenever the Janus kinases, they come into action, and there is a JAK-STAT pathway that is activated. And at this level, we can basically opt for the growth hormone receptor antagonist. The generalized approach to the patient consists of the growth hormone secreting patient who is suffering from a growth hormone secreting adenoma. You're going to assess the likelihood of the surgical cure. That is basically going to look for the risks and weigh the benefits at the same time. If you're opting for a surgical procedure, and on the other hand, if you want to opt for an oral treatment, for instance, the somatostatin analog, then basically you would be requiring a debulking procedure, which is required for the CNS pressure effects in the individual. The debulking procedure is obviously surgical in its technique, and you measure the growth hormone and the IGF-1 levels. If they are controlled, you are just going to put the patient on monitoring, and if they're elevated, you're going to start off with the oral treatment of the somatostatin analog. Again, you're going to look for the measurement of the growth hormone and the IGF-1 levels in the patient, and again, you're going to, if you have controlled at this particular level, you're going to monitor the patient further on. In case there is a need to be, you can increase the dose or the frequency of the somatostatin analog, or you can even add up to the growth hormone receptor antagonist, or you can have a coupling therapy along with the dopamine agonist. So these are some of the oral treatments, and they go side by side the surgical debulking techniques that can be employed for the patient. The design for this particular supportive therapy is going to depend upon the patient's condition, how the patient is responding to a particular treatment, and a lot of other prognostic factors, the age of the individual, the other systemic comorbidities that exist in the individual. This is how basically you vary and you basically weigh the risks and the benefits in a particular patient, and then only you modulate this particular kind of a treatment plan. This is a comprehensive treatment plan, and it shows how you're going to support the patient, how you're going to perform the debulking surgeries, and obviously down the list we have the oral treatments, that is the oral medications can be prescribed to the patient as well. And then obviously a controlled monitoring is very important at every step that you're taking, whether it is a debulking surgery or whether it is the oral medications that you're giving to the patient. You're going to continuously measure the growth hormone as well as the IGF-1 levels for the patient. And if they're controlled, you are basically just going to carry on the monitoring for the individual. If they're again uncontrolled, despite all the medications that the patient has taken and the surgeries that he has undergone, if he's still a patient who is suffering from an uncontrolled levels of the growth hormone, you're going to opt for the growth hormone receptor antagonist therapy. Radiation therapies are also under research, and a reoperation, considering a debulking procedure, can also be opted for in this particular patient. When you start off with a somatostatin analog, again, you're going to measure the growth hormone, and the continuous monitoring is needed at this level as well. After that, basically, just if you add on a somatostatin analog and a patient shows the controlled or the uncontrolled levels, it is going to depend upon that particular factor. If he or she is uncontrolled, you're going to add on a coupling therapy along with the dopamine agonist. Opt for the surgical procedures. Again, the radiotherapies are taken into account, and all of these factors are again interdependent, and you can rely upon one factor, or you can couple up one of these therapies along with the other therapies along with that. It is going to depend upon how the patient is reacting to that particular therapy and whether the adverse effects are controlled in that particular patient or not. And then only you can decide or opt for a particular kind of a treatment in the patient.